Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my 20-week pregnancy update. We are 20 weeks along, halfway there. Pretty excited to be halfway done. So I wanted to just do a wrap up of what I had for symptoms the past couple of weeks and go over my 20-week appointment, give an update on my care because I kind of mentioned that in the first trimester update, and kind of what's going on as for next steps. I'm also going to do a bump update because I recognize I didn't do that in any of my other pregnancy videos, and I haven't really shown my bump. I haven't actually even posted it a lot on social media, on my Instagram, even on my personal accounts. I haven't really shared it, so I'm going to do a bump update, kind of show you how things are progressing and just share how I'm feeling. If you missed my pregnancy announcement and my first trimester update, I will link those down below so you can check those out. Please do look into those so you can kind of see where I'm coming from. This is pregnancy number 2 for me, so baby number 2. So if you're curious to know how my first pregnancy was and kind of how that progressed with my daughter, I'll also link that playlist down below. I've created 2, so now you can kind of go back and watch so you know kind of where I'm coming from and what's going on. So I have all my notes in my phone just like last time, so I'm going to be glancing through those. I don't actually have a lot of updates from the past couple of weeks. It's been kind of a quiet couple of weeks here in the beginning of the second trimester, which is pretty normal to be expected. I do have kind of a big update that came from the 20-week appointment. Nothing super serious, but did just kind of want to talk about that. So that is honestly the biggest update. And then baby's gender, I'm also going to tell you that in this video. It's already up. I already posted the gender reveal in a vlog, so I know that I can talk about it in this video and feel comfortable sharing it. I think I'm going to start with a bump update just so I can kind of show you that, because like I said, I know I haven't done that and I feel like that's a really exciting thing. A lot of people really want to see that. I haven't really talked about this in a lot of videos, but pregnancy, it's really hard for me in terms of my physical state. It's really hard for me to feel confident in my physical body while I'm pregnant. So I have been, I think, even more uncomfortable this time around. And I think that's because I'm actually around people. My first pregnancy was in 2020, so literally nobody saw me. It was just me and my husband at home because of the times. And now people actually are seeing me and making comments about my body and about my bump, which is kind of weird. I think that's kind of something that's becoming a little bit more private. I think people are starting to kind of respect that of pregnant women, but it still happens. Let's just do the bump update, kind of take a look and see how baby is doing. So here's the bump. Bump is very high in my opinion. I thought it was low, but looking at it on camera and as it progresses throughout the day, because as I drink more water, I get a bigger bump. I really do feel like I'm carrying pretty high. I'll have to go back and look at pictures of Rhea, to see where she sat, but, I feel like everything is high because I don't remember where she was, but that's the bump, 20 weeks along. I don't know. I don't want to say if it's big or small, but there it is. That's what babe's looking like right now. So let's go ahead and let's talk about some of my symptoms over the past couple weeks. This will be really fast. Like I said, I don't have a whole lot. If you missed my first trimester update, please check that out so you can see all the symptoms that I had. It was a pretty rough trimester for me. I did not feel great at all. I was really happy to get out of it. I filmed that video at 12 weeks, so I'm going to include my 13 in this video, even though I know that's still technically the first trimester, but I filmed my first trimester update thinking nothing would happen in week 13, and I did the same thing with Rhea, and of course something happened. It ended up all being fine, but when I was 13 weeks pregnant, we ended up going to the ER. I one day just started having chest pains out of absolutely nowhere. You would have thought I was having a heart attack. That's what it felt like. That's what it looked like. My husband was home that day, thank goodness, and he brought out all of his equipment, took all my vitals, and everything was fine. My blood pressure was slightly low, and he was like, well, let's just monitor it. If it's still like this in 30 minutes, we'll go to the ER. I think about 5 minutes later, he came back upstairs and he was like, we're going now, because I was in pain. I was audibly showing that I was in pain. I was kind of screaming, and so he was like, we need to go. This is an important thing. If it's your heart or your chest or something else that's going on, that's a really vital part for baby and for you, obviously. So that happened at 13 weeks. Everything came back as totally normal. I was there for a couple of hours in pain, and they kept me for a few hours afterwards, and nothing came of it. I shared the notes with my doctor because I went to a different hospital than she practices at, and so I brought all the notes, and she was not concerned at all. She basically said it was probably a pregnancy symptom, which I'm not surprised by. I feel like everything is just a pregnancy symptom when you're pregnant. Like, nothing surprises me anymore while pregnant. So at week 14, I have noted that my back hurt. I mentioned that during my first trimester, my back was in a lot of pain in my first trimester, and then I actually did hurt my back. Like, I think that's what that note means, while I was doing deadlifts, not because I was lifting too heavy, but just because my back is just out of whack right now. During my pregnancy, I had a PT, a pelvic floor therapist, come out actually, and she gave me some exercises to do. I think I have that noted in here, but she kind of just was like, you need to be lifting really carefully. And so I've been doing a lot of exercises that she gave me, working on my pelvic floor muscles, because I've really never used those before, because my first baby was a C-section. I never had to do labor, so I never really prepared for that or like did any therapy for that. So really just starting to focus more on that and being really aware. It got better after about 2 weeks. It took about 2 weeks to get better, and it still happens, but I just do a lot of stretching now. I started having some round ligament pain at 14 weeks, and then at 15 weeks I started having signs of colostrum, and that has been noticeable for the past several weeks. Like, I get up in the mornings and sometimes I can tell that I have colostrum, which is kind of crazy. It's really early. Like, 15 weeks is really early in your pregnancy, I think, to notice that. But I mean, I breastfed for a year and I stopped in September of 2021, and I got pregnant in May of 2022. So that's really not a lot of time that I wasn't lactating, so I'm not really surprised that that happened just very early. I've never heard of that with anybody else. At 16 weeks, I started to feel movement, very, very slight movements. It was actually right after my 16-week appointment. My doctor asked if I had felt baby, and I said maybe, but can't really tell. And then the next day I started to feel a little bit more movement, and I also started to get really bad acne at 16 weeks, which I had really bad acne in my first pregnancy during my first trimester, and this time around I had no acne during my first trimester, but it's been very bad. It's been very red, lots of bumps. My skin has just not been great for the past couple of weeks, and I'm just trying to keep it clean and like moisturize it, take the makeup off, and I've been doing some skincare, just trying to like keep it happy, but it has definitely been a little bit more sensitive than normal. At 17 weeks, I noted that my workouts started to get more difficult. Up until then, I had felt totally fine doing my workouts. I had to start lowering the weight and sitting in between sets a lot more. It's taking me about an hour to do my workouts now, which before I could do a workout in like 45 minutes, maybe 50, and now it takes an hour. Like, I have to take the time in between to breathe, sit down, rest, and also the exercises that the pelvic floor therapist gave me take a little bit more time. So I'm incorporating those into my regular workouts, and so that's just extending my workout, but I definitely noticed that my workouts were getting more challenging at 17 weeks. At 18 weeks, I had hip pain while sleeping, which I was really disappointed to notice because I got a pregnancy pillow this time around, and I've had it since I was like 8 weeks pregnant, because I didn't want to get the hip pain as early as with Rhea, and that was about the same time as when I was pregnant with Rhea that I got the hip pain. I think I might have been like 16 or 17 weeks with her, but yeah, I started getting hip pain while sleeping, so I've had to add another pillow with my pregnancy pillow in order to combat that. But honestly, the pregnancy pillow is totally worth it, and so adding in the one extra pillow, not a big deal. I just kind of like fit it in there, and it seems to be helping. The week 18 was when I had the pelvic therapy appointment. It was someone who is specific to prenatal and postnatal care, so it was actually an in-house visit, which was so nice. So she came out to me and did some release exercises and then assessed kind of like how I was feeling, and she is available now like for postpartum if I feel like I need to schedule appointments with her, or even like follow-up appointments. So that'll be really nice. I may look into that postpartum. We'll see how things go, which we'll get there. At 19 weeks, I started noticing I was dropping everything. I had that with my first pregnancy, but I didn't have it until my third trimester, and it's very apparent now. Like, I cannot keep anything in my hands. I can't put something away in a cupboard without dropping it, or take something out without dropping it. It is absolutely horrible. It's driving me crazy. That's what happened in my first pregnancy as well. It was driving me crazy. So that's really unfortunate. I started to feel a lot more movement during week 19. So that was really exciting to kind of like start feeling baby a lot more. I thought I was going to feel baby a lot more, a lot sooner based on what everybody says, but we'll get there as to why I did not. But I did start feeling it a lot more at week 19. And then my hair, just very thick. I actually just got it cut, thank goodness, because it was so long. I couldn't do anything with it anymore. It was too long and too thick. It was too heavy to like even put product in. So my hair is very thick. It's out of control, and with my first pregnancy my hair got thicker postpartum, so I will definitely be getting my hair cut again before baby's arrival, just to combat that, because I don't want to have too long of hair like postpartum and like not have the time to go get a haircut. So I told her I'm gonna be back in January before baby arrives. So then 20 weeks. 20-week appointment was yesterday. Went to the appointment. Me and my husband got to go, which was really nice. My husband did not get to go to the first one because it was 2020 and of all the restrictions, he was not allowed to go. So it was really nice that he got to go. His work schedule has been crazy. We actually thought we were gonna have to wait a week to get in, and they had an opening and we got in on week 20. So that was really exciting. I'll talk about the 20-week appointment here in a minute. I just want to go over like my food cravings here because I didn't really talk about that, but I have been so hungry and very interested in food. Like I can spend a long time on Pinterest looking at recipes and pinning them, and very interested in trying them. And then just in terms of like the foods that I am craving, it's been a lot of chips and salsa, Mexican food. Like we went to Mexican for our anniversary because that's like what I've been craving. It's what I really wanted. Guacamole, nachos. Like I just can't get enough of like that salty, savory, like rich food. Like that is really what I want. Like sweets are really not very exciting to me. Like I don't want anything to do with sweets. I want like the chips and salsa. Like I could eat that all night. Popcorn is also up there. So that has been like the type of foods that I've been craving. So let's talk about my 20-week appointment. So over the past couple of weeks, I've actually been looking into a doula, researched it, and I actually interviewed a few, and I hired a doula. I was really excited. If you don't know, if you haven't watched my previous videos, I want to have a VBAC. That's my goal because my first was a C-section because she was breech. So my goal is to have a vaginal delivery this time. I hired a doula. I've been doing a lot of hip opening exercises, like really trying to prepare myself this time around. So the 20-week appointment, the first thing that they told me was the baby was breech. So that was like really hard to hear. I was like, we're already there. Baby is already breech. I know that there's time for baby to move, but based on the research that I've done and the information that I have seen, like if baby is breech at 28 weeks, there's a very high chance that baby's still gonna be breech when you get to 38 weeks. So my goal is to get baby turned head down very soon, like before 28 weeks. That is the goal. And they did tell us the gender. So that was also the first thing that we asked. We were like, we want to know. We absolutely want to know. And it's a boy. She said it is absolutely 100% a boy. And being there and watching the screen and seeing everything, it's a boy for sure. So we were really excited. I'm not really surprised. Everybody was telling me it was a boy, but I didn't have a feeling one way or the other. My husband was set on it being a girl. He really thought it was going to be a girl. And so now that it's a boy, like we are very surprised. We're really happy. We would have been happy with either, but we do already have a girl, and like I kind of wanted a boy. Like I kind of wanted to have one of each. And so that's really exciting that baby is a boy. Now we have to come up with names. We had like no names picked out for boys, so we have to work on that, and it's a lot of pressure. We have the middle name already chosen, but have to work on getting some cute boy names now. The other thing that they noticed during my ultrasound, two things. One of baby's kidneys is slightly larger than the others. The doctor said it happens all the time and not to worry about it, so they'll double check that. They just said it may have been a little like inflamed. I don't know. She said don't worry about it. It was like barely any bigger, like millimeters. And then my placenta, which I was kind of concerned about because they had mentioned it in my other ultrasounds, is covering part of my cervix. So it needs to be 2 centimeters away from my cervix in order to have a safe vaginal delivery, and right now it has to move up 1 centimeter. So that kind of was very disappointing to hear. It was very disappointing to hear because I'm not actually holding out a lot of hope that it's going to move. The doctor said that it happens all the time and that it does move, and because my placenta is on the front side, so on my belly, because my belly is going to keep going up, she said it's very likely going to move. That's why the kicks and like the movement have not been as intense, because I'm not feeling it, because baby's basically kicking a pillow is how she described it. So that's why the movements haven't been as strong as I thought that they would be. I'm really not putting in the hope that it's going to move, because I really don't want to get my hopes up just to have to come to the conclusion again that I'm gonna have a C-section. So I left pretty disappointed. I emailed the doula and I gave her an update, and it was really disappointing because we had already talked, and I actually was gonna move Kara to another facility that would be better equipped for VBAC and better be able to support me. And now I'm not doing that because I have to see what happens with my placenta, because if I'm gonna have to have a C-section, I want my current doctor to do it, because she did such a great job with my first one. So I'm really upset. I've already secured the doula, so I already have to pay the doula, but I don't think I even want the doula there if I do end up having a C-section. Like, I honestly think I'm just gonna say, hey, thanks for your services and support, but I don't need you at my C-section, because I just don't, and it would just be a reminder of the birth that I didn't get to have. Now, obviously things can change, and the doctor does think that it's gonna move, and it could move, and things could all work out, and I could end up having a VBAC, and everything could be totally great, but I'm really just like not going to get into that mindset. At this point, I'm just concerned about my placenta and focusing on that. The doula did say some of the exercises that are for flipping baby, because I told her baby was breech as well, may help my placenta, so I'm doing those. I was already planning to do those, so it's no extra like work than I'd already planned on, but I'm a little skeptical that it's gonna make my placenta move. Like, I don't know. If you watch, I cannot pronounce the channel, but Loapki's Life, I'll link her down below. She's a really popular like mom vlogger. She had this. I think it's placenta previa. I may be butchering that, but it's when your placenta covers the cervix, and she had it during her pregnancy, and they told her the same thing, that it would move as she got bigger, and she went in at like 36 weeks, and they found that it was actually impeding on the baby, and they had to do C-section the next day. So I'm kind of using that as my like frame of reference, which may not be the best, but I'm just kind of accepting that like right now it's probably going to be a C-section, which is really unfortunate. That's where I'm at. I have an appointment. Well, I have all my regular appointments, but my appointment at 28 weeks will be glucose test and an ultrasound to check on my placenta. And then I also have an ultrasound at 32 weeks because my doctor's office does that if you had COVID during your pregnancy to check on baby's growth. There's nothing wrong with baby's growth right now. Everything looks great, but they are doing that as standard. I had COVID when I was 8 weeks pregnant, so they're checking. I get lots of ultrasounds this pregnancy, which I did not get that many last time because of COVID, because of all the restrictions that were going on. I barely even got to the doctor's office when I was pregnant with Rhea, which, thinking back on that, that's crazy that I was taking virtual appointments for pregnancy. Crazy times. So that is my 20-week pregnancy update. Biggest things that happened, obviously, baby is a boy, so we have to get baby names, and we have to get baby clothes, like boy clothes, because all of what we had for Rhea was basically hand-me-downs from someone else that had a girl, so they are very girly clothes. Like, I just don't think that we're going to be able to make a lot of them work for a boy, so we're going to have to start working on that at the thrift stores. Found out that my placenta is just not cooperating, and yeah, just kind of disappointing. I mean, like, I shouldn't be disappointed because everything else is healthy. Like, I'm absolutely healthy. Baby is healthy. Like, things are looking great except for that thing. And I know people say don't get tied up on that. And we even had a family member try and talk to me and say like, oh, but now you can schedule your C-section and then you know. And like, that honestly makes me feel worse. Like, I didn't want a C-section. This is not what I wanted. It is not what I wanted for the first one. It's not what I wanted for the second one. And now it's just kind of like turning out to be that way. So I just don't feel very good about that. And, you know, it's hard to dwell on positive things sometimes. Like, really, you get in that mindset of like the negative things and you just like can't get out of it. So I'll keep you updated as I progress into my third trimester. We'll see. I may, if things all work out and my placenta moves, I may still move Kara to the other facility, and then having the doula will be totally awesome. But I may just stay at my current doctor as well. Like, I could get 32 weeks along, and what if my placenta moves back? Like, I don't know. Is that something? If it moves back, if it moves up, I feel like it could move back down. So either way, if my placenta moves, I'd be happy to have the doula, because I'll either get a really good opportunity at a VBAC at a facility I know supports them, or I'll have a doula to support me at a facility that doesn't have the best reputation for VBACs. So we'll see. I'll keep you updated. I feel like I'm kind of rambling at this point, so I think I'm just gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Like I said, I'll keep you updated. I do update Instagram, so you can check that out. I leave the link down below if you're interested in following me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a really good day and a good week when you see this. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.